us your close-up.
Hi. High five. Get it? High five.
I just got it.
I think when I was about 16 years old, all I wanted to do was have 6 kids. That was my destiny. And I used to pray about it and I claimed it.
I don't think anyone questions your determination. I think everyone knows if you...
I was laser focused.
I have this like anxiety and this buildup about the teenage stage. I know what a terrorist I was as a teenager.
Khloé, you were wild.
I know.
You were spicy and crazy.
Okay, you're confirming that I should be terrified of the teenage phase.
Absolutely.
You and Kim, like, we're going to film a show and you guys have to be on it. Court and I were like, no, we're not. We don't want to be on this show. Then when you were like our manager and telling us what to do, and we're like, what are you talking? Like, you're not going to boss us around. Like, we were like, what? You just don't want people thinking, oh, working with family is a breeze.
No.
There are
challenges for sure. Just use me as a filler when you don't want to tape another episode.
Oh, you'll be the host?
No. Oh, yeah.
You have nurtured that Rolodex. You will have, I don't know, Jesus sitting right there.
Oh my gosh, that would be great.
That would be great. Hi, Mommy.
Hi.
Hi, I'm so happy that you are on my podcast.
Thank you for inviting me. We've been talking about this for years. Not me being here, but you having a podcast.
Yes.
And I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
Because I think it's very brave of you to actually go ahead and pull the trigger and do this when you were so reluctant to do it for so long, for so many reasons. And here you are, and look at you.
Here we are.
I know.
Well, you know, having you on, obviously, you are what many people aspire to have on any podcast, but you're my mom. And I feel like we filmed together, and like you have a documentary coming out one day, and like there's books about you. For me, I felt like asking you the typical questions of,
where were you born?
Where were you born? You know, how was San Diego? What's your mom like? I feel like people that are real fans of yours know those things. And so sure, we might glaze over those things, but I really thought an interesting topic that I feel is interesting and that people always ask me about. People are always praising us for our family dynamic. They always say, like, whether they come from a family with a lot of siblings, they always are like, oh my gosh, you remind me of my mom and my siblings. Or if they don't have siblings, they dream, like that's their fantasy. If I had a bunch of siblings, like that's the sibling dynamic and parent dynamic that I would love to have with my family. So I felt like it would be a great episode to talk to you about, I think, our dynamic, the dynamic that you have with your children and the many phases of that. But did you always dream about being a mother?
Well, yeah. I mean, that was the dream. The dream for me when I was growing up, all I wanted to do was have 6 kids. So much so that I would think about it day and night. I had things planned out in my head. That was my goal in life, to get married and be able to raise a family, have 6 kids, and live happily ever after. And in those days, you know, when I was growing up, I sound like a dinosaur, but there were no cell phones. There were no, I barely had color TV. So there was no real form of communication or things to compare yourself to or things that inspired me. So I don't know where and when I got inspired, but I was watching Leave It to Beaver and I Love Lucy and all those shows and the Flintstones and everything in between, the Jetsons. And, you just saw the future and your life as more traditional in those days. It was I was born in the 50s. I was a 50s baby, and I think I kind of grew up like a 50s child, even though I graduated from high school in the 70s, but all I ever wanted to do was have kids. So the year after I graduated from high school, I met Daddy, and I just thought was the dream, was to have babies and, sail off into the sunset. Do you know what was interesting? When I was getting divorced from your dad, I thought, wow, how did that go so sideways? I was supposed to have 6 kids. I always thought that was my destiny. That was what was going to happen. And I used to pray about it, and I claimed it, and it was going to happen. So I really thought I messed up when there weren't 6 of you guys at the time. I think about that often. I thought, how interesting that was one of the main takeaways from that whole experience.
And I think also maybe, and it's so crazy to think this, but you had Kendall and Kylie when you were 40 and 41, and 28 years ago, or 27 years ago, it was really rare for someone in their 40s to have children.
It was almost like whispered about, like taboo, like she's 40 and she's going to have a baby. Is she nuts? And then it was obviously safe to have babies at that age, but everybody thought there was also some danger to it. Like, what's going on? How could she have a baby in her 40s? Aren't all her eggs gone? And it was very controversial.
Well, so I'm sure even you probably thought that ship has sailed.
I didn't know what to think. I thought I got pregnant right away and then had a miscarriage. But I also had a miscarriage right before Robert was born. So at a couple months, right before I got pregnant with Rob, I had a miscarriage. And then I had a miscarriage right before Kendall. So when I got pregnant with Kendall, we were really trying, because I thought, well, this isn't taking me down. I will show my body, it's almost like a challenge to get pregnant.
I don't think anyone questions your determination. I think everyone knows
I was laser focused. If you
say you're going to do something, you're going to do something.
And if somebody said, if I read something that said, drink iced tea or take, Pepto-Bismol or have 3 coffees or whatever somebody's recommendation was, I would do whatever it took, to try and get pregnant. Like all these little old wives' tales and everything.
Under the bed one time, you and your ex-husband were trying, and that was...
I'm
still
sorry
go to
about
therapy
that.
over that.
Yeah, but you snuck into my bedroom.
I was playing hide and go seek, and nobody found me, and I fell asleep.
You were with Francesca. So you apparently, who were you looking for? Each other? You were hiding under my bed.
It was gross.
And you didn't get caught. You decided to stay there because it sounded exciting. And you got an earful. And
gross.
You being tortured for the rest of your life is exactly what you deserve.
Great. Well,
those sounds will never leave your...
No, they won't.
Wait, how did you get out of there? Did we catch you under the bed, or did you wait?
I ran out, and you guys were like, what was that?
Oh, so we didn't at the time know it was you.
Yeah, well, I ran out, and because at first we were like, I think we were like, oh my God, and like a little giggling. And then you guys were like, I think I hear something. And then when you guys said that, we ran. And then you're like, what was that? Who was that? And no one came to find us for a while, because I think you guys were probably so mortified, as I
probably
would be
trying
too.
to figure out the game plan.
Like, what do we say?
Like, what do we say we were doing?
Yeah.
Let's say we were wrestling.
Yeah, no.
And
I knew what was happening.
It was an Olympic competition.
Gross. I can't even think about this anymore.
Okay. This is like a therapy session. Are you going to make me go through every childhood trauma?
No, that's not
and
what
help
this is
you
about.
Work it out?
No.
Till you're satisfied?
If Courtney was here, then that would probably happen,
okay.
but I'm good.
All right, good.
I don't feel like I have a lot of childhood traumas.
Thank God.
I don't.
That makes one.
Yeah. I think, me and Kim, I think, are in the same boat. And what I find interesting, because I don't remember, I absolutely despise when people call Kendall and Kylie our half sisters.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, no, those are my real sisters. I was born and raised with them, spent every minute with them. And so I really find that insulting when people say that about us. So I don't like that term. None of us like that term. And
I don't even think about that term.
We don't
use that term.
We never do. But just other people, I just hate when they
have
label
to
that.
Recognize the divide.
Yeah, I really, really hate that. And I don't hate a lot of things. But I think something that you did so well, because I hear from so many blended families, it's so hard to integrate my first set of kids with the other set of kids, but I don't remember there ever being with any one of us. I think Kendall and Kylie were born when I was maybe 11 and 12, something like that.
Okay.
Maybe younger, I don't know.
95. So you
90,
were...
Okay, I was 11.
You were 11.
So but I don't remember ever there needing to be even a discussion, or it just, even with my dad, I felt like everything, I don't know, we've always had this really strong family dynamic. We never felt like...
No, you were at the hospital.
All of us.
When I gave birth.
All of us.
So you guys all came, and it was like, here's your baby sister. Like, this is, we're all going home together. We're all in this together. You're sleeping on the floor, and
But do you have any... I don't even know if you do, because for us it was not, I don't think it was methodical or talked about. But do you have any tips for people that are trying to blend families or nervous about that?
I think that it's a little bit different if you have parents with two sets of, two families, and each parent has a different set of children with somebody else. That's a little bit different. It's a little bit harder to really integrate the kids, and if the kids get along, then, that's obviously a lot easier. But with Kendall and Kylie, I felt like I had two litters of kids, and it was just so natural that one just came a little bit later than the other. And it was, you guys, I think from the day I got pregnant with Kendall and the day I got pregnant with Kylie, you guys were so involved in every discussion, every doctor's appointment, decorating the nursery, where we were going to live, because we were looking for, now we had to get a bigger house. And that was the year in 1996, right after Kendall was born and before Kylie was born, we moved to Hidden Hills. And it was all about finding this big, massive house that everybody could have their own bedroom. And, I think the minute that we came home from the hospital with number 5, I think you were in love with your sister, and so was everybody else. And, there was never a thought of, she doesn't belong to me.
Right.
She's not mine. This is my sister. And everybody was so protective and loving. And, it was just, we did everything together.
Yeah.
And nobody was ever left out.
Right.
Not even your dad. Your dad came over way before we, obviously when Kendall was born. And he just wanted us to know, and you guys to know, I'm Uncle Robert.
I really think what it has to do with, and I always say this, is the parents.
Yeah.
I think
100,000%.
Yeah, if children see that this is normal and okay by all parents, everybody involved, then the kids are like, okay, this is okay. Because I think hatred and all of that stuff is learned. That's not innate in anybody.
I think it causes so much trauma to the children and unhappiness and just being very anxious, a lot of anxiety, and people really trying to tiptoe around parents' feelings. And that's really not the child's responsibility. It's really for us as parents to make you guys feel loved and comfortable.
Well, I know from my personal experience with Tristan and how we're such good co-parenters is because of the example that I've had my whole life, from you and my dad's dynamic to Bruce and my dad's dynamic, and it's all I saw. So for me, it was a no-brainer. And I do really think that, yes, you don't need that example. You can do it on your own. But when you have that example, it's all you know, and it's just embedded in you, and it's so easy. And for that, it's, I think, one of the best lessons, because it's so peaceful for my children, and
peaceful
they deserve
is
that.
Such a great, important, powerful word, because it really does, you don't let the divide and the trauma and the nastiness come in at all. It's almost like you've built a wall where none of that can get in, because you're showing your kids how to live this amazing
to do with them
life together. And this has exactly, and they want to feel loved. Children want to feel, you guys, all my job as a mom was to make sure you were safe and you felt loved and secure in a really special place. And that was the most important thing to me. And if we could get there, and you know what? It wasn't even something that we sat down and talked about, although I feel like we would have if it got nasty or anything at some point. But I think that when people get divorced, I feel like there's always a cooling off period where people have to find their way and come to terms with what's just happened, and maybe the fact that you're not going to be with this person forever. But when you have kids with somebody, you are with that person. You're connected forever for the rest of your life, in my mind.
Yes, of course.
And that's how I've always lived my life. And I, would share everything with your dad. And then after we had our cooling off period, is what I like to call it, we became best friends. And he would come once we moved to Hidden Hills, and Kendall was born, and then Kylie followed, and you guys were, young 11-year-olds or teenagers and all that. He'd come walking in the back door at any time. What's for dinner? He'd be there Christmas morning. He'd be there on your birthdays. We'd give our parties. We would, co-host everything that you guys did. And he just wanted to be a part of every special moment and want to be a part of the planning of it too. I would call him up and go, hey, Rob's graduating from, this or that. Where are we going to go? Or, from kindergarten, he would be a part of the recital when you were 4 years old in nursery school, But, we were still married then. But, he was a part of all of those moments. And what I mean is he still wanted to be a part of every single moment. He came to Kendall and Kylie's birthday parties.
I know.
As Uncle Robert.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty special time. And I think that the best thing that happened because of all of that was that you guys, it takes a village.
But it takes all like-minded adults.
Takes
and I
a village.
wish people would put their own ego and issues aside for the betterment of children, because it makes such a difference in the long run.
I don't think people realize that them winning, everybody wants to win, whatever the argument was, whatever the, the reason for the divorce, whatever. You just have to decide that you want to kind of hang on to the love that you once had, but in just a different way. And that's what we did.
Here's the ugly truth. Grocery store shelves are packed with products full of hidden additives and ingredients we can't even pronounce. Grocery shopping for healthy food shouldn't be this overwhelming. That's why I love Thrive Market, the online healthy grocery store that delivers high-quality essentials right to my door. I can shop with peace of mind because Thrive Market has the highest quality standards in the industry. Their in-house experts restrict over 1,000 sketchy ingredients, like artificial flavors, synthetic dyes, and parabens. So I know I'm getting the best organic and sustainable brands, all without the junk. One feature I cannot live without is their Healthy Swap scanner. Just scan a product you already love and it instantly recommends healthier alternatives. We've swapped out our old ultra-processed snacks for new instant favorites, like Goodle's high-protein mac and cheese and Simple Mills gluten-free crackers. And honestly, my kids haven't noticed the difference. It's my new secret mom hack. Whether I want high protein, organic, or low sugar, their filters make it easy to discover so many new favorites that fit perfectly in our lifestyle. And the best part? Thrive Market offers savings up to 30% off grocery store prices. And with fast carbon-neutral shipping, everything gets delivered right to my door. Ready to give it a try? Head to thrivemarket.com/Khloe to get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. Again, that's thrivemarket.com/Khloe to get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift.
So you and my dad and Bruce were, I would say, partners in raising all of us. And I think all three of you guys did an incredible job. And then my dad
Thank you.
died in 2003. And so I think you always had that person to lean on. My dad died, my brother was 16, I was 19, and I forget Courtney and Kim in their young 20s. And, having that person, I think, just really abruptly taken away. How did your role change of being, a parent that had, yes, we still had Bruce, but it is different when our real dad is now gone. And who was also, he
was so present in your lives and such a big part of our day to day. So it wasn't just like, oh, your dad lives in Iowa and, he's not around very much, or he's not, unavailable. He was emotionally available to you guys in such a big way. And he was emotionally available to me. And that really meant the world to me because he was always there. And when I got remarried, Bruce didn't have a lot of money and I didn't have a lot of money. And we were trying to put it together and we were all collectively paying for private school. and all these different things. But one of the funniest things and one of the nicest, most lovely things that your dad did was when I was going through this, your dad used to kind of jokingly harp on me for my Neiman Marcus bill.
Oh, yeah.
So every month it was the Neiman's bill. Oh, her and the Neiman's bill. She's still using my Neiman's card.
Right. I was going to say it was his card.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this relatable story.
Okay.
Please.
But anyway, it was a charge card. I was spending too much money. And so later when I was remarried, I remember one time he goes, "Do you need anything? I know, it's crazy over there." And I said, "Well, if you want to help me pay and now I had my own Neiman's card." And I asked him, "Would you pay the bill this month?" And he goes, "Sure." And he paid my Neiman's card bill that month. And I'll never forget it. And we laughed about that. He goes, "If you would have told me years ago that I would still be paying your Neiman Marcus bill, or your clothing bill all these years later." And so we got a good laugh out of that. But I just think that
that's cute.
When you're supportive and you can raise kids together and be there for one another and do it as a team, it was definitely something where we were all aware of that's a lot of people. I mean, 6 kids is a lot of kids. And he was really well aware of the fact that I was juggling. And by the way, my relationship with you changed the minute I had Kendall, because you really grew up and came to bat for me, because you were like my little helper. You were Mama's helper because I was working from home. And whenever you came home from school or on the weekends, you always helped me with Kendall and then Kylie, which changed my world because we didn't have a nanny. I had somebody to help me with housework and stuff, and somebody to help, which then turned into somebody helping with the kids while I was working in my home office. But I just remember you had this amazing bond with them, the little ones, because you were so in love with them and you knew I could use the help, and you found a gazillion ways to entertain them. You really did. You'd feed them, you'd bathe them, you'd help put on their pajamas, you'd take them for walks, you'd play with them in their playhouse outside, or you'd swim with them or whatever it was. And I think that not only made your bond with them so strong, but our bond so strong, because you were doing something that Kendall and Kylie were out the house by then. I mean, Courtney and Kimberly Courtney went to college, and Kim ran off and got married. And I didn't find out for a minute until Courtney found it on the internet. So that was wild. I mean, we've been through some wild stuff together. And I think that does make a family close.
Did you feel a shift of your role as a parent when my dad passed away? And if you didn't, that's fine.
I felt a huge shift and a huge responsibility. And now it was, you have to say, okay, I'm the mom and the dad. I have to make the decisions that him and I used to make together, because no matter what happened, him and I would always discuss whatever was going on with you guys and make decisions together. School decisions. I remember before he passed, Rob was living with him, and we had this really crazy plan that he was going to make sure that Rob was prepared and prepped for college and for the college exams and filling out all the paperwork to get into USC and different colleges that he wanted to apply to. And I thought, oh, great, this is your lane. I'm so happy this is happening. This was early, like 2003. And it was such a relief to me that he was so, wanted to be there for Rob. And when he passed, I was lost. I am not scholastic like that. I wasn't the one who was doing homework with Rob. I wouldn't know how to do high school homework. I mean, that was like so out of my, realm of things that I would be good at or help somebody else with.
Sometimes I'm doing first grade homework and I'm like, what is Singapore math?
I know. Hello.
Singapore math?
I don't know what that is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Try it.
No.
I'm going to make you do it one day.
No.
Like, excuse me? What happened to just regular addition?
1 + 1. I know. Well,
anyways.
He was really instrumental in just helping your brother mature and go through those teenage years of his life. And I knew the girl thing inside and out, but the boy thing was a bit, I just thought, oh, Rob's got this.
Do you think you're more of a girl mom or a boy mom, or can you adapt to both?
I learned how to adapt to both. Yeah. I think I was more of a girl mom.
Right.
But then Rob was the most adorable, perfect, like funny, loving, athletic. I mean, he was just everything that he was a boy, but all boy.
So. What is your favorite stage of a kid? Like, I'm not a huge infant type of person. Like, I like infants, but I'm like, all right, can we do something? Like, I like more.
I love the infant stage. I love the way they smell. I love the cuddling. You guys were such angels, except Courtney.
Oh, God. Let's not give her more trauma.
She just threw up on everybody. Everybody.
Oy.
We couldn't get that formula right. So that was challenging. But after I got through that, I think I love the baby stage. Then when they first learned to walk, that always used to be an adjustment for me, because we always had stairs and, a lot going on. And it was running around trying to chase 4 little kids around. It was nuts.
I think for me, my biggest, right now, I don't know, I got to get this out of my head.
Okay.
Is that I have this like anxiety and this buildup about the teenage stage. I know what a terrorist I was as a teenager.
Khloé, you were wild.
I know.
You were spicy and crazy.
Okay, this
you
isn't
used
like,
to Khloé.
What?
Khloé. So each one of you probably had a good 18 months of Hell Week.
Wow.
I called it Hell Week, but it was really 18 months. And one of the things you used to do regularly, I might add, was
we don't have to get
we
into
had
everything.
a bedroom. You had a bedroom that had a patio off of the
You put
bedroom.
me downstairs.
Yeah.
Because the other kids took my room, so I moved downstairs.
Well, the babies needed to be up by
fine.
us. So you're downstairs, and I think you're a pretty mature young lady, but you're also very creative and resourceful. And you used to stuff your bed as if it was a person sleeping, under the covers, lock your door, leave the room, but lock that door, and then you would leave. And I don't know when you came back or how you got back in, but this went on for a minute, and I fell for it until one night I just thought, there's no way she's this good of a kid, and puts herself to bed every night at 8 o'clock and doesn't come out of that room until, 7 o'clock the next morning. And we had to break into your room, and that's when we found out that you had been stuffing your bed and leaving. And then another time that I still can't get out of my head, and I'm sort of like a little angry about it, is you were friends. Let's call it, you were friends.
Okay.
With somebody.
Okay.
And you used to cook for them.
Are you going to talk about the pots?
You
that
took
still
the
don't
pots
have
and
back?
pans. I can't let it go. I cannot let it go.
I will buy you new pots and
I have
pans.
pots and pans, but you took my favorite pots and pans from Tower Lane that I used to make. That was my pilaf pan. And you took my pilaf pan.
What can
over
I
to
do
this guy's.
to make this up to you? Because you bring this up on a weekly basis.
I know. I
And
can't.
What
I
can
can't.
I do?
There's nothing.
Okay, so we're just going to talk about it forever.
Well, we're in the right, forum.
Okay.
This is the
It
right.
happens once a week. The pilaf pan.
Okay, well, the pilaf pan. So that was my favorite pan.
I got to do
But
something about
I
this.
said to you, where's my pilaf pan? I went to go make pilaf. I made pilaf twice a week. And
Yes.
you did not know where the pilaf magically disappears. And you
It was
were
blue, right?
Blue.
Yeah, I
The
remember
blue
this.
pilaf pan with the clear top, the clear glass lid. And I used to make my pilaf, and I was so happy with that pan.
Yeah.
I wore it in. It was the perfect cookware.
great.
And you just really
R.I.P.
took my pan. And I asked you, bring the pan. Just go to the guy's house and get the pan back.
Yeah.
And you just wouldn't.
I just wouldn't do it.
No, you wouldn't. And then
to
then
the
my
pilaf
phone
pan.
disappeared.
I feel like at the end of this episode, we should be in loving memory to the pilaf pan.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
And my phone with the $6,000 bill that somebody, you loaned my phone to somebody when cell phones first became a thing. And
How
I said,
would I loan
where's
your
my
phone
phone?
to somebody?
You did. And I said, where's my phone?
Loaned your
And I think, or
You
somebody
wouldn't
took it
notice
from you.
that you had a cell phone missing?
It was lost. So now I'm looking for it. I had to get a new phone. And when I got the bill,
Who has a $6,000 cell phone bill?
I
I'm not
did.
sure about this story.
it was from Europe.
Wow, I'm so chic.
Somebody
Who
took.
knew? I knew people from Europe at
Somebody took
15.
the phone to Europe and
How old
charged all
am
this
I?
money on my phone. And I'm like, these are her friends. I have. So your grandmother used to say,
think we're
show me
going
your
off.
friends and I'll show you. And I'll show you who you're going to be. And I was like, these friends, they're taking the peel-off pan.
and the phone to
And the-
Europe.
and the
they
phone.
sound pretty chic and cultured. They know what to
They
take.
probably were.
Yeah, they know what
They
to
probably
take.
were. But anyway,
Well,
you gave me a run for my
okay,
money.
I was,
And
so
you were
You're confirming that I should be terrified of the teenage phase.
absolutely.
I feel like it was always what it seemed so seamless for you, and I would love, even for myself, for the listeners out there, what are some tips? Like, how do you handle your children? Like, because we drink together. I mean, now I'm 40, but like, there is that, I would think there's that transitional period that you have to,
Right.
okay, this is normal. My daughter's ordering wine at dinner, but she's of age. Like, I don't know. Was that ever strange for you?
You know what? I remember when you guys were getting a little bit older, and my girlfriend used to say, she used to get so mad at me because she felt like I wasn't tough enough. I wasn't the disciplinarian that she was or that she thought was appropriate. And I would say to her, but I want to do this my way. You know, well, these aren't your friends though. You're too much of a friend. You're not the parent. And I said, oh no, I'm the parent. But I didn't, carry these kids around for 9 months in my body and then give birth to them and raise them and come this far. And now they're young adults or they're, going to be a teenager soon, to just let it all go and just be their parent. And then and that's the end. These are going to be my soulmates for the rest of my life. I want to be able to find our own love language with each one of my kids, because you guys are all so different, but yet we have a thread. We're all so alike. And I think that that's what makes us so close, is we love each other so much, but that was always the lesson. I always said God first, family second, and everything else comes after that. And I taught you and raised you like that. We went to church and I took you to Bible study when you were a toddler and when you got a little bit older, and tried to instill those types of belief and spirituality, because I think it's a huge part of growing up. And it's how we live our lives now. We believe in God and we say our prayers, and you have Bible study at your house on Thursday nights with your kids and all the cousins. And I think prayer is so important in our family, and we all pray a lot about everything. And I really think that's an important part of who we all are. And then I think that just our love language, my love language with each one of you, is just a little bit different. And I find that seeing each one of you and letting you be who you are, while at the same time, that I'm your safety net.
Well, you do an excellent job at that.
It's hard.
It is hard, but I think the hardest part would be when your kids start dating.
I think by nature, I was a very welcoming person to whoever you guys brought home.
Yes.
Whether it was a stray cat or a guy from 4th grade, or as you guys got older, it was the dating. Suddenly you were dating. And the challenges that come with that definitely tested my ability to control my temper. Sometimes I'd be so mad that you guys would try to pull the stuff that you would pull, or the dating that you tried to do, until I think you realized we're all good. Bring everybody here. And we became the house that everybody liked to hang out at. When you guys would become very close to somebody, we welcome them into our family with open arms. We have the time of our lives. We're close. We have very intimate, relationships with all of the people in our family and the people that you guys are dating, and it's really fun. But when you guys break up with somebody, I feel like I break up with somebody.
Totally.
It's so
I think we all
sad
feel like that.
for me. I feel like, wow, this was such a crazy time in our lives. I can't believe they're not here anymore, because sometimes I get caught up in your joy or your desire to want to build yourself, your life, your family. And then when it doesn't work out, I'm heartbroken too. When something breaks your heart, it breaks my heart.
But you're also very forgiving, because we can be like, so-and-so is a piece of and did X, Y, and Z. And then we're like, we're never talking to them again. And then next week we're like, okay, we're back with this person. And you're like, okay.
Yeah,
and
here we go.
Yeah. And you're very forgiving, where I would be like, I might kill that person.
You have to be. You know what? It's what did they say? The only person, when you get really angry with somebody, or you get, you build up all this hatred towards somebody, the only person it's really hurting is yourself.
I remember when I was, I want to say 15, I didn't have a license yet. And I stole Bruce's Expedition, and I was driving on the 101 by the 405, like right where it crosses over. And it's like a little turn anyway. So I guess I swerved a little and I got pulled over. And I was wearing a really cute skirt from Forever 21.
Of course you were.
And I'll mention why I remember that skirt. And I remember the police officer was like, can I have your license and, registration? And I said, I don't have my license, but my name is, I think I said Kourtney Kardashian, but my birthday is, and I gave Kim's birthday. So of course they were like, you're lying, get out of the car. I got taken to jail.
I remember that.
So I went to jail, and they called you, and it was, I don't know, like 9 or 10 at night. And they took me there. I didn't go to jail. Like, they took me to a precinct or whatever, just until you came to pick me up. And they impounded the car, and you were like, what's wrong with you? Look at this short skirt you're wearing. You look like you could have been a hooker. But this is all private, like in front of everyone. You were like, oh, she's a great girl. Like, you were so sweet. Like, teenagers, I don't know why she did that, or sisters, whatever you said. They let us go, like, with a warning. You didn't tell Bruce that we impounded his car for 30 days. And somehow we made up some story, because you were like, I
remember he couldn't get the car the next day. And he's like, where's my Escalade? And, it had a scratch. And I took it right to the shop.
But to me, you were like, I can't believe you did
Get in the
this.
car.
Yeah, you were like cussing me out. I was on punishment, but you kept it from Bruce. And I was always like, that was really nice of you. That was really cool of you that you did that.
You guys showed me a lot of respect. So even though you were probably shaking, because that was a horrible thing to go through, and scared of what I might do or how I would react, my temperature. You know that when I get really mad and get in the car, you're dead, get in the car, I'm gonna you know that I don't mean any of that. You just know that because you know me, your mom. And I'm going to get in the car and we're going to laugh about it one day.
Did you ever think you would be working with all of your children, and not only working with them, but because it started out the clothing stores and us working together, but then managing like their careers and everything, and basically guiding their futures?
I think the way that our lives unfolded is one of the best things that I could have ever dreamt of. And it was like the perfect storm. And did I see it coming? No. I think the way it all unfolded was the perfect storm. And I think that it was started out because I needed to pay the bills, and it ended up because we're working with our favorite people and having the time of our lives. To this day, I get excited about getting up in the morning and what we're going to do today, because I feel like every day we have a different job, or we're working for a different company. We're always filming our show, and they're right over there, those Kardashian people, the filmers. But I guess I could never also have imagined it to even include another generation, which is so amazing. Like now my grandchildren get to shoot with us or film with us, or even just if they don't want to film, be in the room. Like it's the kind of thing where we can all work together.
I also think our dynamic at the beginning, like it was challenging, I know more so for Court and I, for you to be our manager at first, because we were like, what are you talking? Like, you're not going to boss us around. Like, we were like, what? We don't even want to do this. Like, at first, when you guys were like, when you and Kim were like, we're going to film a show and you guys have to be on it. Court and I were like, no, we're not. We don't want to be on this show. You guys were like, no, you're going to be on the show.
Yeah, we're on the show.
And
we're doing a show.
And it just sort of happened. And you were like, it's only going to be one season. It's not a big deal. Just do the show. And we just did it. But then when you were like our manager and telling us what to do and where to go, and it was hard for us to differentiate mom and then a manager. It was hard for, I would say, the first few
years. To get the rhythm.
Yeah. To be like, okay, she's ordering me around or telling me to do this, but not as my mom, because we would be defensive or like,
yeah,
what are you doing? Like it was, I think Kim and you always had a very easy rapport and respect in this. And I had respect for you as my mom, but I was like, you are not my boss. Like that's was my, just my attitude towards you until I had to realize, okay, she knows what she's doing. This is manager Kris. Well, I had to put you in two different categories until I think our relationship really became very seamless once I had kids. And it was always a great relationship, but the management mom role was always very hard for me to just, sometimes if I wanted to talk to you about manager stuff,
where's my
defensive.
Mom?
Yeah.
Which one is my mom today?
But it would be hard, or you would want to talk about work when we're at dinner. And I'm like, no, like that's not what I want to do right now. So it was always.
No, we definitely had to figure it out.
Yeah.
The transition of that was definitely.
And when to turn it off. That was always hard for me. But
I don't think I've ever learned how to turn, when I get on a roll, that's always been one of my,
strengths.
Well, it's hard for me to turn things off because I get so excited about stuff. And that to me is like the if we're at dinner, that's my dessert.
Well,
Let's talk about that.
You have passion for everything in life. You're a very passionate person, but I just don't want people thinking, "Oh, working with family is a breeze." And this, it's not. It does.
No.
There are
challenges for sure.
Yeah,
all
and
the time.
I think it takes a minute to be comfortable in those roles and know people's positions and learn to not take things so seriously and put them in that work role as you would if you had a legit boss.
Yeah, and it's hard when I get angry at somebody. If somebody doesn't show up or cancels or can't do it or doesn't want to do it or, really up, I inside I'm going crazy. And then, I'm singing Stormy song, patience, like I'm losing my mind. But on the inside and on the outside, I'm trying to be, professional. If it's a professional setting and go, okay, this is what needs to be done. Because like I said, I'm solution based. But whether it's teaching you how to tie your shoes or teaching you how to create a new business, we've had so many different, I feel like I've had 9 lives.
You have.
And all these different decades and different chapters.
But I think the best thing about every one of your lives is one of your biggest strengths, I would say, and you have many, would be your ability to nurture and curate these relationships from every different life that you've had. Yeah. And you've never let them go. And you have this Rolodex of people that you can call, rely on, ask for something, and they ask you the same. Like you've really, I'm not great at nurturing relationships. I'm like, I'm busy. I got kids. Like I don't have time to chit chat and go to dinners and do that. And I don't know how on earth you have time, but you do. And even if you don't, you make people feel so loved and seen and that they're so important to you. And I think that's why. I think that's something that people can all take away. It doesn't matter what world you're in, but whatever that world is, make sure that you do nurture those relationships and that you never burn a bridge and that every bridge you can walk back over at some point in life because we're all going to need to. And I know that when I'm like, I want to do this or let's start this business or do that, you're like, I know someone that is an expert in that field. Let me call them and let's get advice from that. Every single person. If I could name 50 people and I know you know every single one of them, or there's someone that knows that person, and you can always reach out to those people. You've never burned a bridge. And I think that, and if you have burned a bridge, it wasn't worth going back over anyways. Like, it's very intentional.
Yeah.
And that is something that I really admire. And I hope that when my kids get older and I have a little more energy at the end of the day, that I will be able to do the same, because it's such an amazing gift to do that. Because it takes energy.
Well, your friends
and finessing.
Your girlfriends are super important in your life. They play such a huge, important role. And I think you don't realize that until you do get older. But I think I've taught you that, because you've said to me numerous times how you and your friends sit and say, I want to be like my mom and her friends because, she's got these great girlfriends. And I think that's a really rich, rewarding, important part of life as you get older, because you do share ups and downs. And as you get older, you lose a lot of people, and, life gets sad at times that you didn't have those experiences when you were younger. So if you, and the fact that you guys all have each other is amazing. You and your siblings are so close, and you might be closer to one than the other through the years. You might be, this year you're closer to Kim, and next year it'll be Courtney, and then it'll be Rob, and then, always a different, beautiful, delicious, loving relationship. But it's always a little bit different, and relationships change, just like, from time to time. They change, but nothing changes about the love language. You find that really great way to be and have that relationship, at least for me, with each one of you, because you're all so different, and we have different, like, people say to me, who's your favorite? Well, today my favorite's Khloé, because I'm on the podcast, and I do have, of course I have a different favorite every day.
That's
you might
so
be
weird.
You might be my favorite for 30 days in a row.
That's weird.
But it's not weird. It's like, I'm so in love with Rob this month. Like, I'm spending all my time with Rob, and Rob and I are working on this, or we're doing
they don't
that.
have to be your favorite. Just you're vibing so much with Rob this month.
Well, I'm just saying, favorite is a silly word.
Okay.
But I mean it lightly. I mean, who am I hanging out with right now? Who am I connecting with? Who am I exchanging ideas with and creating with and being passionate with? Who wants, like, Kendall and I will sit and talk about design ideas because she's working on something for days, or Courtney, who can't even pick a paint color, will drive me up a wall because she can't get into the process of it. So I'll talk to her about something else. And I think it's really, when your kids are teenagers, learning how to pay attention to what their interests are and how to help them find their passion.
I have a random question for you, because you were married twice, very long-term marriages, and then you start dating. Like, how weird was that for you? Because we're adults, yes, but, like, was that weird? Like, I can't seem to date because of my young kids. Like, I'm like, I don't want to expose them to that.
Right.
Is it different because you dated after my dad to meet Bruce, obviously. What is weirder? I would think when they're adults, because they're judgy.
Well, it's weird when they're adults, because if your adult children don't get along with your significant other or the person you're dating, it's never going to work.
Was Corey not like, obviously, I'm sure when he met you, he knew obviously that you have 6 kids.
I think 3 of them were with me the night I met him in Spain. But yeah, I think it was pretty well known that I have 6 kids.
And that doesn't throw anyone off.
It did not throw Corey off. I think he, loves
There's
you
hope
guys.
for me yet.
No, I think listen, if one of us is with a partner, we're kind of all with that partner. I mean, it's like all for one and one for all. We all have to kind of decide, like, it would be in our family. I'm talking about our situation. I'm not saying this is the way everybody should be, but we're pretty connected. and we're pretty intuitive of one another's feelings and our energies. And I think if we feel like one of us, is in the wrong relationship, we're pretty vocal about it. And I think that we know that we just want each other to be happy. And we all spend all of our time together. So for us, it would never work if, there was friction with the kids.
I don't remember the first time I met Corey. I just remember the first time I knew you were talking to someone, and because you were smiling and texting and being weird. And I'm like, what the I know that face. And I'm like, who are you texting? And you're like, this guy I met. And it was just to see you that giddy and smiley and happy. It was really cute. But I don't remember the first time I physically met him. But Corey's been around for over 10 years or 10 years.
Almost 11 years.
And he hasn't left yet with
Not
all of
yet.
our craziness.
Corey was somebody also that had been in his career, had worked with a high profile person, and he was very well aware of how a life like this goes, and
That's true.
all the things that came with it. And we would walk into a restaurant in another country and walk into the George Cinq in Paris, and they would go, Corey, and whisk us right back into the table that, blah, 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 and through the kitchen so we could get out of there. And, he knew all about security and all about all the drivers, and seemed to know everybody in LA and everybody in my life. And it was a very safe feeling to be able to date someone who you didn't have to explain how our life worked. I know that's a weird thing to say,
No,
and a very
I get
probably
it.
unrelatable
But it's
thing.
your reality.
It was my reality, and I felt really comfortable with the fact that I didn't have to make excuses for our lifestyle or for the way we lived and explain
Or
it to him.
explain- yeah.
He was explaining it to me, and he was making my life easier and saying, oh my God, let's do that. And then we travel really well together, and all we did was travel. That's all we do is we're going here, going there.
You guys do. It's amazing.
And working, and he knows that if I'm going to be in another country and, if we're trying to do something fun, I'm still going to be working at 2 a.m. and I have to set an alarm and do this and do that. And he helps, facilitate.
He doesn't try
all
to
the
control
things.
you. He lets you be you.
And he makes it easier to be me.
But it is interesting that he has no kids and he's with someone that has the most kids and grandkids, and we're always together. Does he ever get annoyed that we're...
No.
I'm always, because we're neighbors, so I just walk on in and I'm like, hey, Corey, sitting on the couch eating, like watching TV, and I'm like, sorry, I'm going to go see my mom.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure he's like, what the someone... He doesn't care. He never says he does.
He would
I'm
never.
sure deep down he's like, what
Yeah.
the
No, he's proud of you guys. I mean, he's been around long enough to see, a lot of the things that you guys do and how passionate you are and how hard you work. And, nothing's handed to you. Nothing. And he sees and respects that and talks about that and just admires how much everybody has so much just focus and vision and creativity. And I think that anybody who's watching from the inside, which is very few people, get to really see how we are day to day. And I think it is amazing for somebody like him to sit back and say, wow, this is incredible.
I have a
And I'm
very
proud of
serious
you.
question.
What? Oh God, what? Who's my favorite?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't ask such a thing.
Uh-huh.
What makes a great martini?
Oh, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now you've got my number.
Yeah.
A great martini is shaken, not stirred.
Okay.
It's putting a generous amount of vodka in a metal martini shaker with about 6 ice cubes.
6.
Shake, shake, shake until it's freezing cold. Straining it into the glass. You don't always need to strain. If I'm in a hurry, you pour it directly into the glass, 2 olives, and enjoy.
It's just a glass of vodka. That's what that is.
Well, it's typically with vermouth.
Right, but yours is straight
And
up
mine,
vodka.
it's straight up. But if you go to a restaurant and say, I want a
Oh, we
martini,
will.
they're going to say, do you want blue cheese or regular?
Gross.
And you
I
just,
don't like blue cheese.
you want regular. At least that's the way I drink them.
Yours is just vodka. Just say, "Can I have a shot of vodka?" That's what I would say.
No, it's about the experience. You have to like hold the martini glass, think Frank Sinatra music.
Oh, love.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Get into everything's an experience.
This was an experience, just like the martini experience.
Oh my God. Thank you.